Hello everyone, welcome to my demonstration class. I teach courses about mass media here at AIU. So today I want to introduce one of the basic concepts about mass media, which is media, reality, relationship. For today's discussion, I raised two discussion questions. The first question asks how media portray reality. The second question asks how media affect our beliefs and understanding about reality. For discussion, we need to distinguish three different kinds of reality. The first one is real-world reality. The second one is media reality. Last one, perceived reality in our heads. First, real-world reality refers to the reality which exists outside our mind, the actual reality. Media reality refers to the reality described or portrayed in media text. Media text can be news reports, drama, film, advertising, or any kind of media text. Lastly, perceived reality is the images, ideas about the reality you have in your heads. I'm going to use a recent example of Russian invasion of Ukraine to explain the relationship between three different kinds of reality. So now about this specific event, the war, the invasion, we can ask this question. So what is the real-world reality about the war? What is media reality about the war? Lastly, what is perceived reality about the war? So now I'm going to give about a minute so you can think about this question yourself. Okay, here real-world reality means the actual world that is happening in Ukraine. And then media reality typically delivered by news media in this case. News media report the world in a certain way, but that's media reality about the world. Lastly, perceived reality, your idea, your beliefs about the world. So now we can see the three of different kinds of reality can be different each other. So we should think this way. Media is related to reality, but media texts do not reflect or mirror reality as it is. Instead, media represent or even create reality. So the way media portray or describe, represent reality is called media representation. So please read the definition about media representation. One thing I want to emphasize about media representation is that when media portray reality, they emphasize and ignore certain aspects of reality. In other words, they don't give a full picture about outside reality. Instead, media engage in some sort of selection and emphasis of certain aspects of reality. Then we can ask this question: how news media make a selection? how news media make emphasis of the reality. So the answer is that media text portray or describe reality from a specific point of view or interest. And depending on how media represent reality, we as an audience will receive different kinds or different versions of reality. Once again, we can consider the Russian invasion to understand what this concept means. So now we have outside reality, the actual world, right? And now you can assume you watch and compare Russian TV news and Ukraine TV news about the world, the same event. Do you think the way the two different kinds of TV news depict the world will be same or different? Maybe they'll be different each other. Then why do they portray the same event of the world in different way? Because they have different point of view about the world. So we can expect Russian TV will reflect Russian point of view, mainly Russian government's point of view. So they will emphasize positive aspects about the world, positive aspects about Russian actions, and ignore the negative aspects of Russian actions. On the other hand, Ukraine TV news will emphasize positive aspects of Ukraine's side and underemphasize or even ignore the negative aspects of Ukraine's side. This difference, as I explained, comes from different point of view, looking at the same event or outside reality. Another simple way to think about media representation is asking this question: do media text include a certain social groups fairly or exclude unfairly? We can think about the social groups, different social groups based on gender, race, age, and national identity. When they portray these different group of people, media can either overrepresent or underrepresent a specific social group. I'm going to use a gender as an example. In real world, we have almost equal number of males and females. In other words, in the population, they are equally distributed, about 50% for each group. Then now think about whether females and males appear equally in media text like drama and film. That's media reality. This is the data from a study that investigated overrepresentation or underrepresentation of male and female characters in US drama. So this study looked at the number of characters of both male and female characters. And also they check out the speaking time in seconds for male and female characters speak within the drama. So again, now I'm going to give about 1 minute and think about what this study tells about the representation of gender in US TV drama. Okay, now let's look at the table together. So there are two patterns we can see from this table about TV drama's representation of gender. First pattern is that in US TV drama, there are more male characters than female characters. You can see the number of the male characters and see the number of female characters here, right? And the percent information. So there are about 60% of the characters, whether they are main characters or supporting characters in US drama, from male characters. On the other hand, female characters are less in number. It's just about 40% in total. The second pattern we can see here is that male characters tend to speak more than female characters. From this study, we can make some conclusion about media representation of gender. First of all, media underrepresent female. Because, if media fair to female population, there should be the same number of male and female characters. But as you see here, we see more male characters than female characters. So we can say male characters overrepresented and female characters underrepresented. So this idea of over or underrepresentation can happen in combination with a certain social group and a certain social issue. So I'm going to use race and poverty as an example. So now you have different racial groups. So like white, black, Asian, or Hispanic in case of the US. We have issue of poverty. Okay. Then if we combine these two different things together, we can ask this question about media representation, which is how different races appear in relation with poverty media text. So this is the data from a study which compares the real number of poor people by different races, the number of people in the media, in this case, magazines. So the blue bar refers to the percent of poor people in real world, in the general population. Yellow bar refers to percent of poor people appearing in many different kinds of magazines in the US. Again, I'll give you 1 more minute. So please think about what this table, this figure tells about media representation of race in relation with poverty. Okay, let's discuss it together. So what did you find? Okay, first of all, in real world, in the population, there are more white poor people than poor black people, right? Because, out of 100% of the poor people, 45% of them are white, and 27% of them are black, and 24% of them Hispanic, and 4% of them are Asian. Okay, then what about media? In the world of the media, in this case, magazines. In the magazines, majority of poor people are Black people, 49%, followed by white, Hispanic, and there are no poor people appearing in US magazines. So based on this study, we can conclude media representation of race in relationship with poverty this way. So US media, particularly magazines, overrepresent Black poverty and underrepresent white poverty. In other words, in magazine, there are more poor Black people than in the number in the real world. And there are less white poor people in magazine than white poor people in real world. Okay, the next question is this. So when media represent reality in a certain way, what will happen to media audience? So from the previous table, we saw that media underrepresent female and they overrepresent poor Black people. Then what will happen? So according to many studies about mass media's influence on people, we can say that media can affect people's beliefs and understanding about outside reality, like a certain event, like the war, or issue, like poverty, or social groups, by different gender and race. So first of all, let's think about what kind of beliefs can be made about gender when people are exposed to the media content which underrepresent females. So if you are exposed to the underrepresentation of female in the media over and over again, what will happen is that you're going to have the belief that women are less important than men. And women should speak less than men. Okay, then what about the beliefs about the relationship between race and poverty? If you exposed to, or if you use or consume a lot of media that overrepresent Black poverty, you're going to build belief that Black people are likely to be poor people. So what do we call such kind of beliefs? Stereotypes. Stereotypes against female, stereotypes against the Black. Okay, to summarize, we can say that media's representation, like underrepresentation, overrepresentation, can affect our belief about the world in the form of stereotypes. So now let's conclude today's class. First of all, media reality is not equal to real world reality, because media represent reality. Because media portray reality from a certain point of view. They are influenced by their nationality. They are influenced by their own stereotypes. What is interesting about media representation is that media reality often influences our belief about the world we live in more strongly than outside reality. This strong influence of the media asks us to have media literacy skill. Like if we need general literacy skill to read books, we need media literacy skills to analyze and interpret media text accurately and critically. That's all for today. And thank you for listening to my demonstration class. And I hope I can see you at AIU. Thank you.